Hi there, everybody. They call me the governor. And welcome to our live stream talking about Fear the Walking Dead, 7, Season 7, Episode 3. Cindy Hawkins, it's a weird tale. But before we get into this, I have these two fine ladies with me who are, enthusiasts. Let's start with Jaz. Jaz is my co-host with the most, so please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Jaz. Obviously here as co-host. Um, yeah, I'm The Walking Dead. I got to it not exactly in the beginning, but kind of in the mid-season of season 4. Fell in love with it right away, and I've been a fan ever since. And I'm here for the long haul of all of this Walking Dead goodness.
As long as it's still goodness.
Exactly.
And we have with a reactor who's, stopping her reactions but still is talking about the show. BaeBae Rose, tell us about you.
Hi, I'm BaeBae Rose. I'm a former reactor of The Walking Dead universe, The Walking Dead and Fear. Been a fan since season 1. Saw it when it first premiered. And yes, on December, New Year's Eve would be my final time being on YouTube. Yes. But we just got to rock and roll till then. So that's it.
Well, YouTube will be poorer for your absence, but in the meantime, we get to take advantage of your knowledge and passion about the show and what's been going on. So we got a few people in the chat. So hey, Abel, Robert, and Cleo, thanks for joining us today. And hopefully we'll have some more people joining soon. But we want to talk about this episode, which is called Cindy Hawkins, and we find ourselves with John and June in a buried bus, it looked like, or camper or something like that.
I don't know why I want to say bunker. I kept saying bunker. I'm like,
it gave me bunker vibes too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it almost looked like they took a couple, school buses and buried them and made them into a bunker.
That it gave me like Ghostbusters 2 vibes when they went underground in like the old subway. I'm like, oh gosh. But with John and June, it kind of like, because I'm a fan of John Dory, okay? Y'all know. And how John Dory Sr. and June interact, I cannot help but think, how would it look like if John hadn't died? And they playing games and drinking coffee day after day. It breaks my heart, to know that John Dory Jr. isn't there. But that's how I feel about the beginning of the episode, though. And I got my cup too. So,
yeah, that's a good cup. Yeah, I miss John Dory Jr. or the 6th, as we find out he is this episode. So it's like, it would have been awesome if John had survived and been, with the group and with his father. Saw his father again. That would have been such a touching scene. And for him to be there with his father and his wife, yeah, that would have been awesome.
Yes.
But Robert says
totally different show.
I know. I know.
But, I always look at John Dory and halfway think of him as, half human, half Terminator, because he was in the Sarah Connor Chronicles. But I was just watching, this domestic scene in this episode with June and John getting along, and, going through this routine. It kind of almost like watching Groundhog Day, because every day is exactly the same. And, I was like, wow, that's got to be a lot to go with. What were your impressions, Jaz, of...
So I I absolutely love this episode, which was shocking because I mean, maybe it's because I kind of went into it with no expectations because, I mean, the last 2 episodes of season 7 haven't really been real winners to me. So maybe that was the thing that really helped it. But for anybody watching out there, I'm a big like crime TV fandom person. So I mean, I absolutely loved the element of the serial killerness of it, and all of that. But yeah, I absolutely. The cinematography was gorgeous. I mean, that yellow haze outside, and that whatever the hell it was, the Walker gut water, whatever it was that was coming down off of the roof.
Oh yes,
that I don't react very well to a lot of things, but that just that made me really feel kind of like I was gonna throw up or something. So
and dirty. Oh, I feel dirty, like but I'm with you, Jazz. You know, at first I wasn't told from the beginning though. I felt kind of sad because again, like John Doris Jr. wasn't there, but at the same time I'm like, shit. When I do my Let's Talk, I always say to myself, is it important for me to talk about an episode? And at first I'm like, okay, y'all not kind of getting anywhere. But then all of a sudden, here comes Cindy. I'm like, okay, this crime scene. Okay, now we got to see John Doris Sr. at his best of solving a crime. And so that's what I like about this episode. And of course, I know we're going to get to Strand and Morgan later on. But I mean, even though it was kind of crazy of him leaving his family for 40 years, I think. But like at the same time, you want to get this man off the streets, you know, and John Doris Sr. just, you know, did.
For a time.
He kept his promise.
And then Cindy kind of got on my nerves in this episode. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I like to think it really wasn't Cindy. It was just him being haunted by the whole plot.
That's a
well, you know, them losing their booze supply basically, you know, brought, you know, into focus that John Dory Sr. is, you know, a functional but still an alcoholic. That, you know, he without that constant alcohol, he started really having that heavy withdrawal, and Cindy was all in his mind, and so it was him getting on his own nerves.
Yeah.
So I thought that was something we hadn't really seen before. I don't think was addiction and what happens when you run out of something you're addicted to. I mean, I imagine.
Nick wasn't he?
Nick was an addict. A heroin addict at first, but I think shortly after, you know, the world went to hell, he didn't have any of his stuff, so I think he just kind of... I don't recall him going through any major withdrawals.
No.
It was just he kind of got clean and went on. Here we saw John going through, and I'm like, he's got the DTs, this is going to be, you know... And I think they conveyed that pretty well. You know, him shaking, him just, you know... But I think this is really where they took a look. I mean, yes, Nick was an addict. And that didn't thrill me, actually. Having one of the heroes be a heroin addict, that's not someone you should really be, you know, looking up to. You should be reaching out to help. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
But not, you know, not seeing them as someone I want to root for in the apocalypse. You know, it's like, I prefer my heroes a little bit more like, you know.
But he was smart though.
What's that?
Nick's like moments, he was smart in some moments. Actually, first 3 seasons, he was smart. Nick was smart. You know, because it took like Madison and then, well, I can't say Alicia though. Well, but you know, Nick was like on board, know what to do in the apocalypse right away in the first 3 seasons of Fear the Walking Dead. So
I'm not saying he didn't redeem himself and become an admirable character. I'm just saying, you know, he started out with this addiction, which I thought was a questionable choice. I mean,
Yeah.
J. Bonin Singer, who great author, and he wrote with Robert Kirkman, though I think he did most of the writing. Rise of the Governor, which, good book. Fall of the Governor, not so good, but, just because of the ending. The writing quality was there. He wrote a book where there was a main character, and he was addicted to drugs. He was like, shooting up, and I'm like, why is it that the hero of this book, the one that we're rooting for, I understand having flaws, but, being a heroin addict, by the end he was like swearing he'd go straight, but does it have to be like a, saying, I just don't know. It's hard for me to relate to someone that addicted. I can feel for them. I can empathize with them.
Okay.
But identify with them, I cannot.
But, yeah.
But yeah, Nick did go through withdrawals. Devin is saying Madison was feeding him pills to help his withdrawals. So yeah. And Deborah's saying so many people in both fear and World Beyond are having hallucinations. But it was a good episode, though. I actually have not been watching World Beyond. I'm going to go back eventually, maybe, and watch it. Just because of Jadis, but or Anne, or whatever she's calling herself.
I would say Anne.
Whatever she's calling herself, Jezebel, I don't know. But, yeah, I haven't seen any of those.
I only watched one episode. Man, that was it.
Of this season or last season?
Hallucination.
Of
well, I haven't seen that one.
Or last season.
This season.
Yeah, I haven't even done that.
The only one episode. But I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna watch it eventually.
That's my plan, is to do like a binge through once it's either halfway done or all the way done for the season.
Yeah.
Well, I'll probably have a little more time, but I have some other things that we're working on. As everyone out there should hopefully have seen by now, the first episode of Fear the Walking Dead, the reaction compilations for this season have started. So we're putting those out there. And even though I have to say there are less reactors than I'm used to.
Yes.
So I think there was like 16 compared to like 20-something, 25 or 28 last season. So people are dropping off from Fear, which is really odd because last season was so good.
So good.
Yeah, so
good.
And then this season, it didn't start that strongly. But it started in a way that was intriguing. I was willing after last season, to give it some time. But yeah, there's less reactors, so if the compilations are a little shorter, it's because I don't have as many reactors to put in there. So, and
plus I said I was ending my Fear reaction for season 6. So, but
you talk about it, so that's all good.
Yeah. I think, with that, I think I'm more of like a talker. I like reacting. I really truly do like reacting. But I think I'm more of a talker than anything else. I like to talk about the show.
Yes.
Reacting. Yeah. So, because I think, you get into people's head and, you watch and you react, oh my gosh, or, you cuss at the TV screen like how sometimes I do.
I don't know anything about that.
I understand all of this in my soul, so I get you.
But you really want to hear when it comes to Fear the Walking Dead. What I love about this show, I always say this, because it's not comic book based, honestly. So you have to think, what other people's thinking and theories and stuff, and it's so exciting. And so that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be done with reactions. It's been a good 5-year journey, doing so. But I like to give my opinion on it. And I like to hear other people's opinion too, because, not everybody, that's not like a right or wrong and everything else, just like how you feel. even though I may think that you're wrong, though. But
Well, disagreeing civilly is fine. Deborah says, I noticed.
yeah,
Just
Yeah,
don't
but
start
the
throwing.
reactions were still good. I guess she's noticed that there's less reactors. But those that are still going at it are still good, so it's... And I hope I got some really good stuff about butts and booty and penis in that one. If you haven't watched it, check it out. There's stuff. Yeah, we got people with various opinions. People like this episode, Robert Travis, and he says, also that Nick was an underrated character. I agree. I wish he had been around a little bit longer. I think he would have benefited from, he might have been like, the new Benjamin for Morgan to train. He could have, really, because he was making smart choices. He knew his limitations, and he was getting beyond those limitations. And I think Morgan would have been a great role model for him, a great mentor. But
he's in his head.
Abel Cass says World Beyond is honestly boring. Beaverius says I like season 2 of the World Beyond more than Fear right now. Robert says World Beyond is a struggle to get through, but Fear at the moment has my attention. So there's various opinions, and they're all valid. I mean, it's fiction. It's not like we're debating fact here, so it's all good. You can like The World Beyond, you can like Fear, you can like the main show, whatever. It's
all
fiction.
The Walking Dead universe. It's great. Like it.
But again, I fear that the Walking Dead universe is on a decline, so it's going to happen.
Yes.
Oops.
So let's move on in this episode. We have John suffering from the lack of booze. We have June trying to help him. She's a nurse. She knows what's going on. There's a lot happening in this episode. And then we have him going up top and almost getting bitten by a biter, because that's what they do. But he thought the biter was Cindy. So in his condition, he should not have been venturing out. Though I noticed that he did get it together at the end. And then we have these guys in these suits who were listening on the radio, who were kind of trying to get in.
Stalkers.
And apparently they have more than one hatch going up, because they were working on one hatch while John was coming up the other.
So, for real?
Yeah, because they were...
There was another hatch? I thought it was the same hatch. Oh.
They had to have two hatches, because John went up one hatch and he looked around, and then he spotted them trying to get in the other hatch. And then they opened it. So I was like, I didn't realize there were two hatches until, he goes up and there's nobody there. So it was, but they do have two hatches. He did get it together. So you said stalkers. Are we thinking these guys are the stalkers? Jazz, what do you think?
I think so.
Yeah. I mean, it all kind of adds up if you look at it, because I don't want to get ahead of where we are in the discussion in the show, but John's over there on the little radio trying to get some help and stuff, and
actually he was offering help.
Okay, well, it goes both ways. But it wouldn't surprise me that they're there to listen in and try to make their move at the right time and whatnot, which seemed like the right time for them, obviously, to do their dirty business.
I think so too.
I think it was the stalkers, because I think all the biters that were coming after John were naked.
Mm.
So that would...
I didn't pick up on that. I'll have to go rewatch that to
Yeah, I need.
Cleo wants to know how come Teddy's glasses didn't shatter in the blast. Because he went to LensCrafters. Yes, we are sponsored by LensCrafters. No, we're not sponsored by LensCrafters. But yeah.
Hey, Landcrafters. We love you.
But it was definitely interesting to see him find Teddy's, desiccated corpse. And obviously, Dakota did a good job, shot him in the head. So, but I was a little surprised that Dakota, obviously she died, but enough remained for her to.
Yeah, I thought she was ashes.
Yeah. Yep.
I thought she was ashes at first until, he picked up the knife. John picked up the knife and said, Dakota. I'm like, oh, for real? I'm like, well, do your thing. Like, stab her in the head. Okay, sorry. Stab her in the head. I feel some kind of way. I mean, do you? I mean, and somebody said about Teddy's glasses. I'm asking myself that too. Why is his glasses not shattered? Sometimes Fear the Walking Dead riders kind of confuse me, but I'm not even going to go on in them. Okay. So, but yeah, I'm surprised to see Dakota, Miss Dakota.
I don't.
Now she's South Dakota.
I don't think his glasses would have shattered because at the time of the blast, he was horizontal and dead. And he was probably behind a little bit of the hill, so the wave didn't hit him directly. So, he became a desiccated corpse, but he wasn't really all that crispy compared
and sometimes those things can be pretty strong too, let's admit it.
Right.
You really have to give it some work with some glasses.
Yeah, I mean, he had prison-proof ones.
Prison-proof ones.
Prison-proof glasses, that makes a difference. No, I think because he was lying down, because he was dead already, because he wasn't in the direct line of sight of the blast, that's why he was still recognizable with his glasses. Either that or the writers just said, we need to make sure that people understand this is Teddy. And he was wearing glasses, so there we go.
Very much be the reason right there.
Yeah.
Beaver says she was looking extra crispy, that Dakota.
A little gooey, too, actually.
Yeah, it was like pieces of her were peeling off. I don't think they got the original actress to come back for that. No, I don't think so. I think that was like a stunt person or animatronics or both. But, yeah. Anyways, but yes, I do think that it is the Stalkers, as they have been dubbed by Will. May he wander around in peace, because he's not resting.
Okay.
But because I believe, correct me if I'm wrong out there, Greta says, yes, John was lying down, whereas Dakota was standing. She's John Glover, but Teddy. Yes, we know. Okay. But yeah, I think, correct me if I'm wrong out there, were all the biters naked? And it could be some of them had their clothes burnt off, because Dakota looked pretty naked.
Yeah.
Not in a, disgusting, she's way too young to be thinking about that way. I'm just saying, the show doesn't go in that direction with,
No.
That's a good point that you brought up, though, that maybe the explosion just decimated their clothes.
It's possible. If they were close enough, it could have destroyed their clothes. But if they did have any on before, like Teddy's clothes were still there. So that's another thing that tells me his body was sheltered. But Dakota was became like a really charred mannequin. She did not look human, anymore. So, but I do think all her clothes were probably burned away to a crisp. And, she was turned into, basically an overcooked chicken wing. So, yeah.
Maybe those who stood up during the blast, their clothes, I think and you probably said this already. Those who stood up, their clothes be off. Those who are lying down, not so much. I don't know if they. I don't know. You know, yeah. I'm just surprised that we see a lot of naked walkers. That's too much butt nakedness to me. I don't.
Well, the stalkers for some reason are like stealing the clothes, and it's like if they're getting biters that have been around for like years, those clothes are not in good shape, and they smell. And they want to actually take, these clothes and launder them? What are they doing with these clothes? I really want to know. But Deborah Ulmer in the chat says, with the new group being introduced, maybe Strand won't be the ultimate big bad of the season.
I guess time will only tell.
Mm-hmm. Time will only tell.
That's an interesting ending there when we get there to talk about Strand.
Yeah, so let's finish up talking about, John gets his act together. He manages to kill pretty much all of these invaders eventually, even though he has to, fight off some biters.
Well, yeah, because he's the daddy of the Terminator guy, so, why not?
Yep, I think the Terminator stuff runs in his blood.
Yep.
And, yeah, I would definitely say that that this ghost that was haunting him really started to irritate me. But, c'est la vie. Let's see, we're taking a look at Twitch. We got no comments in there. But we do have some people still on YouTube, Facebook. If people are watching, they're just watching in awe because, we got BaeBae Rose. So they're like, how did they get BaeBae Rose? Cleo says, how do they get the clothes off of the walkers in the first place? Knocking a biter down, not that difficult. Undressing them, they would have to be cutting the clothes off if they're going to do it quickly and efficiently. It's not like you can sedate a biter.
Them too first, just saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you kill the biter, then you can get the clothes off. But that's not the case. There's these naked biters walking around.
Which is why I go back to the theory that it was just burned off to a crisp somehow. Because I can't imagine being, I mean, at least for me, I wouldn't be able to go up to a walker and undress it while it's still alive. Not that I would want to do that in the first place anyway.
Yeah, maybe with your eyes, you can undress the biter with your eyes.
No amount of wash. No amount.
Yeah, there is some question about what's up with the stalkers, how they organized. Are they going to be what ends up going beyond what Strand is doing? Strand isn't really being a villain at this point. He's being a prick. He doesn't like Morgan, but he's brought in people. He's set up a place for them to be. And it's just his way or the highway. So, he found, June and John. He saved them. I mean, these are not necessarily the actions of a villain. What he did to Morgan in the sub, definitely more villainous, more, horrible actions. But what he's doing now, I mean, he does have this rivalry, apparently, with Morgan. So let's get that out of the way. We need to talk about John Dory was not happy to find out that Victor was the savior. But
he ain't going to leave.
But then
Morgan... I see them walkers. No. Nah.
Should have had that drink.
Exactly.
So Morgan showed up after hearing everybody on the radio, but I gotta say, John Dory was a little stupid because he's like, come on down, we have plenty of food, plenty of supplies, we can help you, we're about here, find us. Of course, some people are going to show up and be like, well, we want your supplies. We just don't want to share them with you.
Give me half your shit.
I think they were like, give us both half your shit and die.
Right.
You know?
We'll take it all. Goodbye. Exactly.
They're not a resource.
I just had to throw that little reference in there because that's ridiculously what I do. So.
Andy K says, not wanting to see Walker junk swinging, LOL. I think that any biters that were in sight of one of the bombs probably had their junk burnt off. But yeah, why they're actually stripping these biters and having them walk around? Yeah, I don't want to see anything dangling. Little more than I want to see ever. Abel says, wouldn't the nuke kill all the walkers since Dakota was still in the same place? I think, first of all, the biters were all dead to begin with. And they seem to be extremely hardy. Apparently, this radiation does not kill the virus that animates the biters. So that's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a virologist. And Dr. Fauci's a little too busy to take my calls right now. But I would say it is.
If he's watching, though, we want answers.
Because we know Dr. Fauci watches, this reactor panel. So out there, Dr. Fauci, just let me know, would the radiation ordinarily kill viruses? Or is this a particularly hardy virus that is not affected? So...
and that brings up I've always kind of been wondering about that, like how long does this virus affect people? Because I'm sitting there thinking about dead bodies in coffins from years ago. Are they in there just after 200 years of being buried or whatever?
Well, I think what they've established is that if after you have the virus, if you die, you return. And maybe someone who died and then was immediately infected by the virus after death might reawaken.
Because according to Rick, we're all infected. So how did it start? You know what I mean? So.
Well, it started. We all got infected, and then people would die and come back. Imagine, and the time would vary. Sometimes it was hours. So imagine the poor mortician there. It's brings in a body, cause of death is, and then his face gets eaten off.
I couldn't do it. I could not do it. Nope.
Yeah, if they had just left Teddy still working as a mortician, he probably would have died from, all these biters coming to life around him. So it would have been cool.
I would have liked to see that. That would have been awesome for sure.
Yeah, but the virus spreads and the virus works the way that the plot requires it to.
Exactly.
Some people like Amy in the first season of The Walking Dead took her a long time to turn. But then later on, people were turning within minutes of death.
Yes.
Like Shane.
And then, and like Shane and the old guy in Woodbury, and I'm trying to think who else. There were a few that just died and came back really quick. And then even in Fear, somebody was they were trying to save his life, and he died and turned that. It was so fast that they had to put him down. It's really odd and inconsistent. But then again, the virus could be mutating. Because if one thing COVID has taught us is that viruses have variants, and now we have the Delta variant and all these other variants, And I'm pretty sure we'll have the zombie variant that's going to basically turn people into biters.
Ooh!
Are you like looking forward to that? Or?
I'm not. No, like I tell y'all all the time, I'll probably be dead very quickly if this ever ends. Yeah.
Like, help me, Jesus! Help me, Jesus! No, not the zombie. COVID. No. I can't. Nope. No. Not the zombie one. Please. Can't stand that. No.
And honestly, I don't know if I would want to live through that either. So I mean.
Yeah, well, the way I see it is if the biters come, Hasbro stops putting out toys that I have to buy, so I save money. And a lot of people are going to die and leave their collections. It's not like they're going to use them after.
That's a really good point. I like the way you think there, Governor.
So I can forget about having a town like Woodbury. I kind of like Howard's idea. Except my skyscraper would be filled with toys. And there we go.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna be curious though to see what happens with all these biters going around. I mean, Grace made such a big deal about when you're killing biters. You know, you need to be decontaminated. You should kill them at a distance. And now it's like everyone's just going up and stabbing them in the head. So I think that's what the plot requires.
Yeah. I mean, I understand
disbelief.
Yeah, I understood. Like when season 5, when she said you had to be careful, and because at first I was scared for Alicia in season 5.
Yeah, yep, she got like sprayed in the face.
Okay.
And not in a good way.
Yes, and yeah, no, not in a good way. Somebody, well, Walker, you got to wear your Oh, can y'all see me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, because mine says my internet is unstable. Okay, now, yeah, so
your
it's
internet,
like you get in order
to. My mind.
So if you kill a walker, you gotta wear a radiation suit in order to kill a walker. Don't be killing them while you're wearing like normal clothes. You know, so
put on your sunscreen.
Your SPF 3 million sunscreen, then kill the biter.
Yep.
But I have a question though, because with going back to the episode, was Cindy the last victim of Teddy?
Yes.
That was my understanding of it, yes.
Okay, that John did not find, because he said he found 22.
And then there was 23.
Okay.
Yep, there were 23 victims that they knew of. And yeah, Cindy was the last one. And
she was there the whole time.
Yep.
Oh, I knew that. I knew that.
So according to Supernatural, they now need to salt and burn her bones so she stops haunting John Dory Sr. Right?
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, you know what? When he put the necklace on her, I was like, well, he can take the body to the family. And I'm like, wait, hold up, baby. You know what? You sound real stupid right now. How can he do that? I'm like, wait, her family is dead. And I'm like, come on,
or if they're alive, they're probably not where they used to live.
Yeah.
It'd be hard to track them down.
That too.
That would be a nice thing to see in the future episodes. Episodes, though.
Yeah, but don't we have enough relatives showing up? I mean, seriously,
that's a good point.
We got Emil's brothers showing up, and you know, it's John Dory Sr. showed up. It's like I'm all about family because you know I watch the Fast and the Furious, but I mean, there's got to be a limit to what we do here with the family.
I think with Emil brother, because he did mention about having a brother. I thought that maybe like when he had died that we're going to eventually see his brother later on. Maybe
From
not
my understanding, it's a twin brother too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they like to use twins.
Yeah.
Robert Patrick and then now this guy. Tarek Stedman says, "Sweet BaeBae Rose, glad you made it here." So, You got some fans.
Hey, too.
Tommy says I look like that one bad guy on The Walking Dead. Wonder who he's Rick Grimes, that bad guy?
Oh.
I think he's a bad guy. From my perspective.
Fired.
From my perspective, the Jedi are evil. I just had to say that, you know.
Those are fighting words. What y'all trying to do?
Andy K says our American Horror Story take the remains off the property. Yeah, I'm not sure of all the ways to get rid of ghosts, but I've been watching Supernatural. I'm on season 12. And yeah, you know, just burning and salt in the bones seems to do the trick.
I think that finding her body will probably bring John some peace. Actually,
oh, absolutely.
Now that whole thing is not going to be haunting him for the rest of his life. So
yeah, that's a good thing, though.
Yeah.
So Zach Dixon, aka Masked Ninja, asks, "Do you see Strand making an alliance with the CRM?" But here's the question: where is the Fear timeline in relation to the World Beyond timeline?
And I don't really know because I haven't really been watching World Beyond either, so I don't really know enough about the CRM and what they're all about. So I mean,
is there going to be a timeline? That's the question. Is there a timeline? Is there going to be a crossover? I don't think so. I really sure don't think so.
We had Rick die around appear to die around year 4 or something? Probably around the same time as Fear is now. And then there was the time jump. So, because now Judith's older, but I don't know if the CRM is going to be able to, if World Beyond is showing Jadis, how long has Jadis been, there? It's very, we need AMC to put forth a timeline. And I know that, Scott Gimple watches because he, loves this show so much.
I better just shut my mouth in right now.
Deborah says Fear is about 4 or 5 years behind the main show, but where is World Beyond in this timeline? That is a real question because, apparently in World Beyond they haven't necessarily met Strand, though that would be quite the twist to have them be near the end, they walk in and Strand is standing there with a CRM uniform being I have an outpost that's better than what Morgan had. Because I'm Strand. I'm Victor Strand. Beaver says
I think
the World Beyond is 2 years behind the main show.
Okay. Okay. But I do think that Strand will make an alliance with CRM knowing how he is. I mean, he's all about himself. But talking about this episode, he just want to prove Morgan and Alicia that, he was right all along. And my whole thing is that, you're going to prove somebody right all the time, then that's your downfall. And what if Howard what if an incident happened where Strand is at his weakest moment, where Howard said, well, you resign at my place. I feel like you're not worthy, so I'm going to kill you or exile you. So I'm Strand, don't have too much of a big head, just say, hey, I want to do things my way. If you want to join, fine. So, but nah.
Well,
Strand isn't he said,
Strand
bring
isn't going to let Morgan join. Morgan, he's resented Morgan from the moment he showed up. I don't know if it was because I'm supposed to be the alpha black guy on the show, and you're messing with my mojo. I don't know if it was or just
somebody did say this though. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No,
somebody said this because that Strand, because he lost his partner, okay, and I think in the way Strand is like, I don't want to push you away. So, am I still on?
You're still on.
Okay.
You broke up a little bit, but I think we got you.
But seeing how Morgan gets all the love and whatnot, it's kind of like Strand is jealous in a way that he gets all the love and attention, but Strand is like, how come I'm not getting it? Like, I want it, but homeboy, you keep pushing people away and do stupid crap. Where Morgan, he doesn't. Yeah, he's all about like, I'm gonna say it, all lives matter. Yes, I said it. He's all like, all lives matter, but Strand is like, well, all lives don't matter because I can kill you if you at the weakest. So I don't want to get too close, but I want to get too close. What do you want? I'm sorry, I'm at my moment right now with Strand.
Well, I mean, I was like kind of bring up the same thing though, that I mean, at least on the original show with The Walking Dead, people were getting kind of annoyed with Morgan for being so flip-floppy with his all life is precious versus, okay, I'm gonna go kill this guy now. So I mean, that's a really interesting insight that you brought up about how he's probably jealous of Morgan. So I'm just sitting there thinking, yeah, but spend enough time with him, maybe you won't feel that way so much too.
Well, Morgan has a certain charisma.
It's true, he does.
And then taking Alicia, kind of like you took Alicia away from me and Alicia. We've been like homeboys and homegirls since season 1, and now you with somebody who is new and brand new. And so it's kind of like, you know what? I don't need y'all. But how he's doing it, he could get killed. And are we going to see Clear Morgan? Yeah. Are we going to see Clear Morgan? I don't know. Maybe. I'm hoping.
Well, I think we're going to see like Morgan, aka Taken. He's like, Strand, I have a particular set of skills. If you hurt anyone I care about, I will look for you. I will find you, and I will kill you. That's the new Morgan line.
But he's warning him though, like, hey, I have that temper. Yeah. Like what I kill for no reason. If you're in my way, I'm going to kill you. So don't make me go back to that moment where I don't particularly care and say I'm here for it, But don't let Strand. If you're going to kill him, just kill him, Morgan. Don't like,
right.
Oh, well,
do us all a favor. Just get rid of him.
Couple things in the chat. Robert Travis says, I feel Strand's reason for hating Morgan because he wants to be everything Morgan is, but he isn't willing to do what Morgan would.
Absolutely.
And then the Grind 26 that says, Strand reminds me of Negan. Everyone loves Morgan and Rick. Strand and Negan just want some of that respect and love. But
but so far, I mean, I know there's people out there that love Strand, but comparing him to Negan in a way, I mean, even Negan has some of that charisma that Strand just seems to be missing too.
Yeah, well, Negan, his people did, for the most part, he had a lot of loyalty with some of his people. Not so much Dwight or Simon, but there were a lot of people who, for whatever reason, like Laura would have, died
before he became that Negan.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of people like Negan gave me purpose, so they look past some of his idiosyncrasies. But
I can see the how they got something in common. But hey, you got food, you got grapes. Sorry, not sorry. Okay, douche. I don't want to hear that. But I can see the how they are alike in some way. But he don't take over places though.
I think Strand is very like Negan in the fact that he views people as resources.
Right.
He doesn't view them as, this is someone I want to, get close to. I want to, warm the bed of the widow. He's not that type. He wants to. If you can do something advantageous for him, he will bring you in and give you resources. But Negan had a little bit of a soft spot where he wasn't necessarily going to kill someone that might not be useful at the moment. He was a little more accepting, whereas Strand is like, unless you're doing something for me. Did he kill that
doctor, though?
What's that?
Did Negan kill that doctor, though? He threw that doctor in the furnace, or whatever, the furnace, or whatever you call it, in season 8. The only doctor that Negan had.
Well,
I remember.
Apparently,
threw that doctor when Eugene was in there.
Well, I think that was the end of a malpractice lawsuit that Negan fought against this doctor and said you screwed up too many times, and we find in favor of the plaintiff, and you are going to be thrown into a furnace. But yeah, there was something in the chat I wanted to address here. Tatus mentioned Huck in World Beyond 2.6. She mentioned 6 years ago about the time she... So I think World Beyond and the main show are pretty much in the same timeline at this point.
Okay.
Around the same. And it would be interesting to see World Beyond and the main show collide in this last season. And the Commonwealth have to deal with the CRM. Going back to the CRM and Strand forming an alliance, Strand might want to form an alliance, but the CRM has a tendency to, basically shake with one hand and stab you with the other. So,
yes,
I think it would be extremely unwise for Strand to go that route. Kobe says, tell BaeBae Rose hair is on fleek.
Thank you. Thank you, my dog.
Yeah, so. Yeah, I thought this episode was good. I think it's setting up that conflict that we want to see between Morgan and Strand. Because that's going to be epic.
Yeah.
And right now, Strand has resources. He's got, men who will do his bidding. He's got an armory that he was sitting in. So it's interesting, like Morgan's got his axe, that he attached to his staff, a very cool weapon. And he's talking to Strand, and Strand's sitting in the middle of a bunch of, rifles. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it. That whole thing.
Yeah.
So I think it's gonna be quite a ride.
I'm just waiting on Alicia, how she would feel what Strand has been doing.
And I want to know what happened to Alicia.
Hopefully we will get that next week. Hopefully.
No.
Oh, you're talking episode 5 because 4 is already out.
Well, I'm being a good kid and I'm not watching ahead until probably the weekend or maybe even Tuesday. Who knows?
Yeah.
I haven't watched episode 4, so not yet.
Yeah.
I'd say it's fair game after Tuesdays when I get off of this thing. So.
All right. It looks like Big Bro's here. Hey, Tomaj is saying he's glad to see that BaeBae's in here. Next week we are gonna bring back Tomaj from Big Bro and Little Sis Reacts.
Awesome.
And we might have someone from Knockbro Nation. We're hoping, crossing fingers. And we'll probably invite BaeBae Rose back, if she's willing. I know she's anti-YouTube right now, but but I think we still have some time before the end of the year to get her, right?
Oh, hey. Yeah.
All right.
I wouldn't say I'm anti. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. I wouldn't say I'm anti-YouTube, but yes, I am.
All right, that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
Tarek Stedman says, I think Madison could be the final season villain at this point. Maybe.
Ooh.
That would be something.
That would be something.
Ooh. Ooh.
All right, so final thoughts, shameless self-promotion. Jazz, start us off.
All right, so this episode was awesome. I'm really hopeful for the rest of the season now because, like I said before, it started pretty slow. You can find me on Instagram at Rose City Widow. Check out my choir stuff that we're going full bore. We got like 5 more rehearsals before the next big show. Hopefully, as long as everything stays clear out of the COVID stuff. Vancouver Master Chorale. Check them out on Instagram and Facebook. And I'll see you lovely people all next week.
All right. And next week I believe you are going to be on the panel for Eternals on Monday.
Yeah, we'll see what I have to say about that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go see it actually this Friday. So I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I'm going to have to see it this weekend because I might be doing the tech. So I don't want to spoil us. BaeBae, final thoughts on the episode and shameless self-promotion.
Well, I think the episode is great. I cannot wait for Strand Morgan battle. So we gotta wait for that. You can still follow me if you want to on BaeBae Rose here on my YouTube channel. Also, I have 2 other YouTube channels, BaeBae T Movies and BaeBae Feel React. And you can follow me on Twitter at BaeBae Rose 86 because in a few minutes I am going to do live tweet of Chucky tonight.
Fun.
And
which one?
Yes,
one?
Yes, I am. And that's about it.
But
So,
which
love you
Chucky?
guys.
Is it the first Chucky or is it Child's Play the first one? Or is it the one with Mark Hamill? She froze for a moment.
Well, I'm really excited. I haven't seen any of the Chucky, but I'm actually really excited about the Mark Hamill one because he did.
Oh, go
really
see it.
good
Go see it. It's good.
So
Yeah.
you're going to
TV
be
show.
live tweeting about the
TV show.
one with Mark Hamill.
The TV show.
Oh, the TV show.
No.
So the brand new one that they got out.
So much horror,
Yeah.
so little time.
With the original. Yeah.
Yeah, with the original concept. Well, they call me the governor. I thought this
So
episode...
I love you guys so much.
Appreciate that. So I thought the episode was really good. It was definitely interesting. I had a horrible thought at the beginning. I was like, please don't let, June and John get that lonely and hook up because that would just be wrong. So wrong.
I might actually be done with the show had that happen. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I'd be
yeah,
like,
I
I can't do that.
Colby asked what
I'd be
happened
like,
to your eye.
"Ugh,
Well, there's this girl,
no."
Michonne, and we were fighting with some, tanks, and she stabbed in the eye. It's a horrible thing. Yeah, Big Bro's explaining to Colby what's going on here. So, yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. I liked the psychological part of it. For a moment I was like, this is like friggin' Groundhog Day, but then things started happening. And I'm glad they're safe. I'm not so glad that they're with Strand and then the setup for this whole thing. And I did see a little bit of what's happening next week, and apparently Emil's brother is, going to be, asking for some directions to a Mr. Morgan Jones. So that should make things interesting. Not to spoil anything for those who haven't watched it, but he was in the preview. You can find me on Fandom Spotlite. You can also follow me on Fandom Spotlight is pretty much on everything. Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, of course. And you can check out, we have a Patreon if anyone wants to, give us some support. Just throw us a little bit each month. That would be awesome. And, tomorrow we have the VCR Redux crew, and let's see what they're up to. I actually just got all their graphics. I think it's going to be Weekend at Bernie's they're talking about tomorrow.
Ooh,
I love that movie.
Yes, so they're talking about Weekend at Bernie's. They're calling it Weekend at Bernie's 3, Dead and Loving It.
Love it.
And yeah, so V-Show Redux. And then next week on Monday, we have a special with, we'll be talking about the Eternals. And yeah, there will be some people there. I believe that will be at 9. But, you know, definitely watch our socials. Next Tuesday, we will have Big Bro Little Sis. We will have Damage here and possibly someone from Knock Bro Nation. We'll see. We're going to bring some other reactors in. Probably have BaeBae Rose back. And then, yeah, we're just going to keep rolling. And we have some new stuff coming down the pike as far as videos. Check out Toy Spotlight. And now I've self-promoted way too much. Beaver says, am I old? I get that Dead and Loving It reference. So
I understood that reference.
I understood that reference.
Oh, sorry, wait, wrong channel. Never mind, my bad. Let's go.
All right. So thanks to you ladies for joining me for this panel. Thanks everyone out there for watching and basically, you know, commenting and continuing to support us by showing up. And Joyful First is going to watch 7x4. I'm going to watch that probably before next Tuesday. But we'll see everyone next week. Governor and this wonderful crew out. Now everyone pose awkwardly so people can take a picture.